The
Textbook.
the hour is 6:01, and I call the budget meeting of the City Council, the City of Laconia, the City Council budget meeting. Before we start, I'd ask Councilor Phelps to lead us in the salute to the flag.
My pleasure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilor Phelps.
You're welcome.
We are joined by Recording Secretary Katie Gargano, staff in attendance, our City Manager Kurt Beatty, and Glenn Smith. We do have a quorum, Madam Clerk. Chief, before we start, do you want to just go through your presentation, or would you like to be interrupted with questions?
Either way, I'm fine with it either way.
It's up to you then. Chief Canfield, your budget presentation, it's yours.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, members of the council, City Manager Glenn Smith, the Finance Director. I just want to say thank you to the City Manager, particularly and Glenn Smith, for the smoothness and the hard work in putting this year's budget together, and the opportunity to present this to you tonight. So I first wanted to touch base a little bit on what our mission is for the Laconia Police Department. Without reading the whole thing, it's to enhance the quality of life for residents, business people, and visitors to the city of Laconia. Our function is to prevent crime, protect people and property, and to enforce state statutes and local ordinances. This shall be done with common sense, fairness, and respect for constitutional rights of all people. In meeting our mission, we will build positive relationships, encouraging citizen involvement in the identification and solution of problems within the community, and adhere to the following core values: integrity, respect, service, and teamwork. To elaborate a little bit more, community policing, we define community policing as an emphasis, as a community-oriented policing approach, believing it's more than just a tactic, but a philosophy. Problem solving, we focus on addressing the root causes of problems rather than just implementing quick fixes. And we also believe in non-traditional policing. We're open to trying new and innovative methods and working with our community and other agencies in the true community-oriented policing approach. Touch base on the 2024 department activity statistics. We responded to a total of 20,401 calls for service last year. As you know, calls for service can be categorized in many different ways, so I don't put a whole lot of weight on that. But on average, that's 392 calls for service per week. We investigated a true 3,735 criminal offenses that we investigated. That's an average of 71.82 crimes per week of actual criminal cases that we investigated. We made a total of 1,222 physical custody arrests, averaging 23 per week. We made a total of 5,084 motor vehicle stops, averaging about 97 motor vehicle stops per week. Special response areas, these are additional enhanced patrol areas, areas that we've identified needing a little extra police attention. We conducted 695 of those last year, in addition to 1,484 park and walk and talks, particularly in troubled areas that we thought needed additional policing presence. We conducted 135 community policing events and 40 different business and house checks. We responded to a total of 395 alarm calls for the year, 86 suicidal subjects, and 979 disturbances, 213 domestic disturbances. So what's driving our budget increases? You have the budget book, the city manager recommendations, but as you know, what's driving our increases primarily results in salaries, shift differential, overtime, and outside contracted services, which are broken down in that book. New positions that we requested with this year's budget. Obviously, we understand that the city works under a tax cap compliance, so we did request a position to take a administrative assistant position that we had years and years ago that was broken into two part-time positions, and bring it back together as a full-time position, as well as a full-time crime analyst, which would support the Real-Time Crime Center, as well as assist with cyber investigations in the detective unit, and do what's called intelligence-led policing and predictive policing. This is using statistics to basically predict where crime is going to happen, and therefore direct officers and resources to those areas in better response to those crime areas. New positions that we see as necessary on the horizon. We do see a need for additional police officers in the future, as well as a full-time park and enforcement officer. Right now, we have an animal control officer that does park and enforcement somewhat, in conjunction with their duties as an animal control officer in the communities of Laconia, Belmont, and Guilford, so it's a shared resource. But we see that as a need in the future, as well as additional police officer positions once the state school property is built out. Grant funding over the past 5 years, we received a total of $3,177,000. The breakouts are as the follows for the year. Years listed there, primarily funded equipment and various other needs with no long-term obligations to the city. So those grant funding opportunities that we've sought out have greatly assisted in our compliance in helping you as a tax cap compliant city. Current staffing levels, we're currently staffed at, our total allocation is 49 sworn officers. We're currently at 40 officers. Let me back that up. Our total allocation is technically 45 officers, of which we're staffed at 40 officers currently. We have 3 potential candidates that would be starting in July, bringing us to 43 out of 45 positions. We also have several others in the waiting, so I anticipate being full staffed here really quickly. The other 4 positions, that brings us from 45 to 49, are grant-funded positions as part of the PET grant. New technology. As you know, policing has changed, and instead of the brawn of police work it was years ago, it has changed into a technological adventure, and we use technology for everything from cybercrime investigations, sexual assault investigations, and so on. I'm not going to talk a lot about Real-Time Crime Center, but we've had some conversations about this, and we'll have more as we see in July. But we did receive a $200,000 grant to help kick that off. This Real-Time Crime Center would basically incorporate video from different various sources to help us fight crime in the city, as well as a game changer active shooter response, command and control in major events, as well as many other day-to-day operations. To obtain video, say I use as an example, if you have a package stolen off your porch, to go out and obtain video from all the neighbors is pretty labor intensive, to knock and talk on various doors, and to download that into thumb drives, and then download that into the computer system, and then download that into our evidence storage system. This would streamline this, and this could be done in about 20 seconds. Some of the stuff we've talked about in the future, the modern patrol, we've talked about obtaining a Polaris for a little different type of policing in those areas that are a little non-traditional, whether it be footbeat areas and so on. The Spider Tech community engagement software that we were able to acquire several years ago. Just to refresh your memory, this is every caller that calls a police station gets a text immediately acknowledging that they called and placed a call for service. If the officer's delayed more than 30 minutes getting to the call for service, it automatically sends them an update. Say, for example, an officer's diverted to a priority call. Whoever the caller is, they'll get a text message notifying that the officer was delayed in the expected time for their arrival. In addition, once the call is cleared, the complainant gets a follow-up text with a link to a survey to assess the officer's quality of service delivery. This is in your book, but the breakdown, the quarterly breakdown, the latest quarterly breakdown, satisfaction with professionalism of Laconia police officers was ranked at 99%. So our survey completion rate it hovers between 20 and 25%, which is very high for survey completion rates by itself. But then if you look at this particular category of professionalism, we rank 99% of everyone that completed that survey. In addition, the question on the survey that asks how satisfied were you with the Laconia Police Department, that comes back at 98%. 17% were neither satisfied nor dissatisfied, and then 77% were very satisfied. During the from January 1st through March 31st, we sent a total of 3,290 text messages, and that's broken down as well. I think that's in your book. But the CAT acknowledgement, which is the acknowledgement of the call, and then the survey invites and survey reminders. So I point out too, this software follows through. If you're a victim of a crime, it will notify a complainant that an arrest has been made. And then once the case has been adjudicated, it will notify them that the case has been closed as well. So we're pretty excited about that software. Highlights of some of our annual in-service training and specialty training that we conduct throughout the year. All officers are complete 48 hours of in-service training. As you know, as a CALEA accredited agency, training, you perform how you train. So we value our training. So every officer gets 48 hours of basic in-service training. In addition, officers completed 1,184 cumulative hours of training as well in specialty areas. In addition, they complete regular online training requirements, and these training numbers do not include new recruit training or our in-house training academy or police academy training. Some of our department programs and community outreach that we do, we run the Citizen Police Academy. We're looking to reinvigorate that this year. The last couple of years, we've had a little lack of interest for it, but we're looking to reinvigorate that. CALEA National Accreditation, Victim Services Unit, the School Resource Officers and Liaison Program. So we have 2 school resource officers. One's in the high school, one is in the middle school. However, all of the elementary schools are assigned a liaison officer from the officer that is working that sector. So they are required to stop in there several times a week during the normal patrol duties to liaison with the school staff, to have lunch with the kids or whatever. It's that connection to those schools as well. National Night Out, we're looking to make that bigger and better than ever this year, so we're looking to hold that at O-Pee-Chee Park again this year. Special Olympics, which we just completed the torch runs in the games down at UNH. We participate with Make-A-Wish, Big Brothers, Big Sisters programs, and the Vacant House Check program. In addition, we do a lot with college scholarships and internships that we take students here, particularly from Plymouth State and some of the other schools, which has actually worked out really well, developing them into our community resource officers for the summer or potentially new hire police officers. We're still teaching the DARE program in all of our schools, all of our elementary schools. Our TIP 411 program, our school and community tours, which we do a lot of, and then our Cop Card program, which is a popular program amongst the kids. And it really does initiate that conversation with kids when they walk up to you and ask for a cop card, and you get to have that interaction with them, and they realize that police officers are much more than just a uniform. Drug collection box, we participate with DEA National Take Back on a regular basis, but we also have a drug box located in the lobby of the police department, which is open 24/7. So it's unbelievable the amount of drugs that we take, prescription drugs that people turn in, and we're getting these out of homes. It's unused medication. We still do the Coffee of the Cop program, a ride-along program, and we still assist with the Hewitt Criminal Justice class over at the Hewitt Tech, teaching in those classes on a regular basis. Talk a little bit about CALEA accreditation. So CALEA is a commission on accreditation for law enforcement agencies. It's 21 different commissioners of public safety leadership, not just police officers, but it's judges and lawyers, and it is a vast array of people that make up that commission. CALEA is the premier credentialing agency for police officers across the country, and it's actually international as well. We are currently advanced to Tier 2 law enforcement accreditation, which means that we're held to a total of 483 different standards. And I say standards, that's basically policies that we uphold ourselves to. There's approximately 1,000 agencies out of approximately 17,000 law enforcement agencies across the country that are nationally accredited as CALEA agencies. 15 police agencies in New Hampshire are accredited out of over 200 law enforcement agencies. So if that kind of explains what CALIA is, there is a big ask and a big bar to uphold CALIA accreditation. But certainly I think it's very worthwhile, and I think it's risk reduction, quite honestly. I just want to point out that the state has recently gone to a New Hampshire state accreditation process. It's a good process, but it's drastically different than the CALIA process. The CALIA process is much more involved and much more stringent as far as the standards that an agency is held to. And quite frankly, to speak frankly, some of the issues we've seen in policing across the country in the last 5 or 7 years probably could have been prevented if they were CALIA accredited agencies. You're talking training standards, you're talking ethics standards, you're talking background standards, stuff that, 2025, we should all be doing this. So the assessment process itself, it's an extensive ongoing self-assessment, so we're constantly reviewing policies, renewing policies, updating policies. But on top of that, we have an annual remote compliance review, which is anywhere from 100 to 150 standards. It's several days long. A CALIA assessor remotes into our system. They look at these random policies, and they make sure that we're in compliance and we have proofs of that we're actually following those policies. In addition to that, every 4 years, we go through a site-based assessment. They send out two CALIA assessors. They're out here for about 4 days. They come out, they look at our files, but they more or less, they do interviews. And they could pull a random field training officer, they could pull a random supervisor, they do ride-alongs, they talk to the community members, and they verify that we are actually doing what we say we are doing. Once that is done, which we just went through that last August, it's submitted to the review, it's submitted to the commission for a final review and credentialing. So we had our on-site review in August. In November, we went to Jacksonville, Florida for our appearance before the CALIA Accreditation Board. And we got rave reviews as far as our actual testimony before the CALIA Accreditation Board, and we were reaccredited for another 4 years. And that is all I have. Sir?
Come back, and I'm just picking questions off from the budget side. You're gonna pretty soon come up to a full level of 45, it's really 49. The 4 positions that you got a grant for, how much longer is that grant before it has to be absorbed by the city?
Right now, it's another year. However, we're working on an application to extend that for another period of time. That's the grant that backfills the position for Steve Orton to do the prevention enforcement treatment work here, and then the grant to pay Eric Adams to travel statewide to teach statewide.
Okay, there was 4 positions, right? Under the
Correct.
grant?
The other 2 positions were actually bargained for when the Attorney General's office asked us to participate in that program. We asked what was gonna come back to the city of Laconia by us giving up those 2 officers to travel, and that's when they gave us those 2 positions to basically use for other types of prevention treatment programs here, whether that be street outreach or some type of targeted enforcement efforts.
I shouldn't say assume, I expect that the police commission was okay with your request for the 5 additional officers. That was already funded, right?
Are you
I
talking,
look at this,
the ones in this? Those have been in there. Those aren't new. Those have been there, they're in there for the last 4 years, I think it is.
thank you.
I should step up and say that as the liaison to the police department, I've had some experience evaluating, if you will, the department. And Mr. Mayor, I would tell you that having been in his shoes, I am amazed at how well he's done for the city of Laconia. And we're A, lucky to have him, and B, lucky to have a police department like the one we have. I wish to thank him.
Thank you.
Thanks, Councilor Cheney. Chief, Chairman Whittam and Commissioner Mello, thank you for the work that you do, you continue to do, and you've done so for a number of years. I think, though I've never been in his shoes, Councilor Cheney, I've had the good fortune over the years that I've been in this position to spend an awful lot of time with you and your officers, to see you in action, so to speak, to get a better understanding of the work that you do. I've been involved, as you know, with CALIA and the accreditation, and to experience that process of being questioned and being pressed about my thoughts and perspective on the police department. It's fairly intense, quite frankly, but I can say to you, you know, they set the bar high in the work that they do in order for you to receive, and your department to receive the accreditation. It's extraordinary, quite frankly. And when we look at over 200 law enforcement agencies in the state, and we're fewer than 20 that have received this accreditation, it's exceptional. You know, I think every one of us sitting up here, I hope that anyway, has an immense sense of pride for the work that the men and women of the Laconia Police Department do. We should all have it. It's tough work. It's become tougher. We are also, and I know you've heard me say this before, but it's a particular point of pride for me, traveling around the state at times, and when someone finds out I'm from Laconia, and they talk about the work that you've done with the PET program, and the work that Officer Adams, now Officer Orton, are doing with the PET program. It really is, you're noticed, you're recognized. They understand the work that you're doing here, and people really look up to this department. So it's very fortunate. I'll echo what Councilor Cheney has said. We are very fortunate to have all of you and doing the work that you do in this city. I'm particularly proud of the work that you do, and it's been a real honor, quite frankly, to participate in CALIA, participate in the work that you did when hiring an additional police prosecutor, to ride along with you on occasion, to go out and see some of the work that you and your officers are doing in the community. It's really made my position here particularly rewarding, and I want to say thank you on a personal and both on a professional level as well.
Well, thank you.
You're free to go, officer. We are not detaining you. This is not custodial interrogation either. We won't read you your Miranda.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well,
I would wager money on how long it'd be. Joe, I don't have much to say.
I guess I'll start. Thank you for the reminder. I'm a little unprepared. I thought this meeting was gonna be tomorrow night, so I was home eating dinner with my wife, and I got a friendly phone call. Said, you need to be here in 15 minutes, so here I am. So some of the things my staff, I'm from the code department, building inspector, so some of the things that my staff's been working on. Jen's been heading up this new software program that we've been in the works now for about a year. Hopefully turning that online end of July. That'll speed up the process of all permits going through the city. And it's direct email, no paperwork. It's gonna save a ton of paper. So we've already did that with the electrical permits. We're emailing them to them instead of just giving them a hard copy, sending it in the mail. I saved us about $400 a year in just postage and the time and all the material to send it. So Jasper's staying on top of all the property violations. Some of you may know the biggest I saw was the one on Sun Academy in Bowman Street that is now down to just foundation. Is gone. So that's good. I've been doing a lot of inspections in Langley Cove, Lady of the Lakes, Providence Street. Out of the 3 30-unit buildings, 2 of them have been released with COs. The last one should be getting released at some point in the next month. So another project I'm working on is I'm gonna look to update the permit fee for the applications. We are the cheapest one in the surrounding area, so I'm in the process of redoing that, so it's more in line with the surrounding towns. You can see from the budget presentation I presented, I'm just asking for $6,000 more in just training. They're gonna make my position, so you have to be certified, and it's gonna be about $6,000 by the time it's all said and done. Also, we had to increase the postage, because obviously that's gone up, and we're sending out a lot of letters now. And then, for the phones, we need 2 iPads, so I included that in it as well. Other than that, it's pretty much straightforward with last year's budget, just a couple slight increases.
Counselor Boga.
Thank you. What would you say your backlog is at the moment in permits for inspection? If there is a backlog?
There's not.
No backlog?
We
Cool.
schedule it pretty tightly, throughout the whole week. We work Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 4:30, so we're always accommodating somebody right now. Will that change in the future when some of these other larger projects get going? It might give us a little bit of a backlog, but I'm sure we can make the proper decisions at that time.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Any other questions?
This is a small staff, so it's like
Yeah.
not a whole lot to report on. I could bore you with a bunch of pictures of houses and framing inspections, but
Okay, Joe, I guess you're all set.
okay,
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
thank you.
Is there any other business to come?
I have, if you're interested, I have some administrative stuff for my stuff. If you're not, usually you guys move along pretty quickly and don't want that, but I'm welcome to talk about it if you have any questions. I do have a couple of notes I can tell you. One thing I will ask, though, just ahead of time, while we're in a public meeting, is if there's consensus to bring any of the department heads back next week. We have that tentatively scheduled. Right now, I'm not planning on scheduling a meeting for Monday night, unless it's really up to the 7 of you to determine if you want any other department heads to come back. Otherwise, we can bring them back at a subsequent meeting if you wanted them to ask any questions. It's up to you guys. Don't need a vote, but a consensus would be nice, just so we know.
Okay. Go ahead, Kurt.
There's just a couple I'll make a note on. So mine's all the administrative stuff. Under administrative non-departmental, page 10 in your book. The contingency, you'll notice that that's significantly high. That falls down to the bottom under 2026 manager proposed contingency. That $125,000, that was put in there as a placeholder, as we've been trying to attempt to fund 2 positions for a half of a year. So one with the projects manager position and one with the crime analyst position with the police department. As we've had to make adjustments to the budget, I had to cut that in half, and my intent is to still bring forward the project manager position to keep it within the budget, and some of that was a result of discussions during the finance subcommittee meeting of last week. Yeah, so that's why you'll note that in there. Under administrative special items on page 12, I did make a few cuts to the top section under Health First and Community Wellness Center. I just cut those back a little bit. And all these things, these are, when we get to this point, obviously, I've presented you guys a budget. You guys have made suggestions. We've found changes that have to be made. We expected to be during those couple of months, and these are a couple of the changes that are in there under administration. Otherwise, everything's pretty much the same. The only other difference you'll note is page 66 under records elections. Under equipment, that is it's the poll pads, right? I was getting them confused with the voting machines, but this is the poll pads, the iPads. This is the last share of what we have to pay to get that project completed for the city clerk and her team doing elections. So of all these pages within the book, there's very limited adjustments, very limited changes from last year, just a few increases. And so unless you have any questions for me, there's really not much in these budgets. in these sections of it.
One question I have, thank you, Kirk, on page 12, 489, 480, 0014, which is Waypoint. Can you talk about Waypoint a little bit?
What's that? Is this part of the Genesis? Yeah, I'm sorry, this was part of the Genesis, formerly what Genesis was doing. Not Lake Shore Mental Health. I'll get you a better update. This is one we funded for a long time. I don't
Yeah,
have everything in there. I can
And I'm
get you
familiar with that, Waypoint's work
um,
is homeless work, but in and around the Concord area, Merrimack County. I didn't know they were active here in the city of Laconia. That's my question.
We had done that a couple years ago. We had checked all of those to make sure that they did actually spread out to this area. I can't speak to everything they do, but that is one that did spread work into this area. We checked that last year, the year before, just as a confirmation. Certainly can go back and sort of recheck their mission and their coverage area
Yeah,
to
not
confirm.
Not that I'm looking to clip anybody here, but it just raised a question about where they were. I thought, and I just could be wrong.
They have a
Was
location on
Concord
Water Street.
On Water Street
They
here?
have a location on Water Street.
I do.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I would. Okay.
Yeah,
maybe just get
but
back
we
to
can take a look and give you a little bit better explanation of everything that they do.
us. Okay. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. That conclude our work this evening on the budget.
Does.
I'd like to adjourn Laconia City Council before we adjourn here. Go right
I
ahead.
know the city manager asked for a consensus for a meeting on Monday night. Can we get him one?
Do we need to have a follow-up with department heads on a special meeting on Monday night? I don't-
What's your thought?
I don't see any reason why we do, but we always placehold that in case you guys want to. But I think we can do it another time. If you want to sneak them into another meeting on the 23rd, we can,
Yeah,
I'm fine.
I won't be here Monday night,
I don't think we need to have it.
just by chance.
I'll be here anyway, because Monday night zoning board.
Oh, there you go. So probably that wasn't, yeah,
I'm not gonna be here, so that's.
Okay.
so you want it.
So it looks like we're not going to have one.
That's
We need
fine.
to have, if we need to placehold 6 PM on the 23rd?
Yeah, we can either that or even squeeze it into the 23rd meeting if we absolutely had to. If you had a specific department head, I don't think you guys are gonna want every department head anyhow, but if you had one specific that, boy, I really wish they could come back and answer some questions, we can put them into an agenda item if we have to.
Okay, all right. Unless there's any opposition here, let's adjourn the city council meeting, budget meeting for June 9th?
Yeah, I couldn't remember.
2025.
That's fine.
At 6:34 PM.
I was